Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really old story, but one that has this incredibly profound and personal message for every single one of us. It's a story all about something called the Great Exchange, a choice that was made thousands of years ago, but believe me, it still echoes today. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so picture this. You're standing in a crowd and you're given this choice. On one side, you have a man who even the governor says has done nothing wrong. And on the other, a known murderer, a rebel. I mean, the choice seems like a no-brainer, right? But what actually happened next? Well, that's the key to this whole story.
All right, let's set the stage. We have a restless crowd, two men standing before them, and a choice that is about to change the entire course of human history.
And just look at the contrast here. It couldn't be more stark. On the one hand, you have Jesus, a man the Roman governor himself said was innocent, someone who claimed to be a king, but of a kingdom that's, not of this world. And on the other side, Barabbas. This guy was a known murderer, an insurrectionist. One is completely innocent, the other is undeniably guilty. And then, in this just unbelievable turn of events, the crowd yells for Barabbas. They actually demand freedom for the guilty man. Now, the Bible presents this as a really powerful picture. In this story, Barabbas, he's us. We're the ones who mess up, who are guilty. And yet, we're the ones offered freedom because Jesus, the innocent one, steps in to take our place. And that is the great exchange.
So after this verdict, Jesus is handed over to about 600 Roman soldiers. And what happens next, it looks like this awful, brutal defeat. But what we're about to see is that every single moment of humiliation was actually part of this incredible rescue mission. He was willingly taking on our shame so we could receive his honor. First, he was scourged. And this wasn't just a simple whipping. This was a horrifyingly brutal act, designed to cause the most pain and shame possible, literally tearing a person's back to ribbons.
Then, as if that wasn't enough, the soldiers twist together a bunch of thorny branches into a crude crown, and they jam it onto his head. It's this painful, cruel parody of royalty for the man they're sarcastically calling a king. They keep going. They throw a purple robe, a symbol of royalty, over his shredded back. And then they start kneeling and jeering, "Hail, King of the Jews!" I mean, you can just feel the sheer contempt. It's mockery at its most twisted.
And finally, they just start hitting him over and over and spitting on him. But here's the thing you have to catch. His body was being broken, but his purpose was not. He was absorbing every single blow, intentionally, because it was all part of the mission to secure our freedom. After all that, Jesus is led away to be crucified. The place is called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. He's so weak from the flogging that he stumbles. And that's when the Roman soldiers, they just grab some unsuspecting guy from the crowd and force him to help out.
And the writer of this account, Mark, is so specific. He names the guy, Simon of Cyrene, and even his sons, Alexander and Rufus. Now, why would he do that? Because these guys were likely well-known people in the early church. This little detail grounds the story. It's a reminder that this isn't some vague legend. It's an eyewitness account, full of real people.
And this moment right here, it's such a powerful picture of two things happening at once. On the outside, you have Simon carrying the physical cross, the heavy wooden beam. But on a deeper, spiritual level, Jesus is carrying the real cross, the crushing weight of all of our sin, all of our wrongdoing. It's a burden that would be way too heavy for any of us to bear. Okay, so this all brings us to the absolute climax of the story, the crucifixion itself. And it's right here that we see the ultimate purpose. Jesus goes to the cross so that we could be forgiven, conquering the curse of our sin once and for all. The account of these final hours is so direct, so stark. At 9 a.m., he's nailed to the cross. Then, from noon to 3 p.m., this strange, unnatural darkness just covers everything, a sign that something of cosmic importance is happening. And then, at 3 p.m., Jesus cries out his last words. And this cry, wow, this is the absolute peak of the Great Exchange. It's the sound of someone who has only ever known perfect unity with God, taking on the full, crushing weight of our separation from him. In that moment, he felt the profound distance that our sin creates so that we would never have to. Just think about that. And at the exact instant that Jesus died, something totally supernatural happened, miles away in the temple in Jerusalem. This huge, heavy curtain inside was torn right in two.
So what's the deal with this curtain? Well, it wasn't just some piece of fabric.
It was this massive, thick veil, some say as thick as a man's hand, that physically separated the holiest part of the temple from everyone else. It was this constant physical reminder that our sin creates a barrier to a perfect God. So for it to be torn, and not just torn, but torn from top to bottom, that wasn't a human act. That was God himself declaring, the way is open now, the barrier is gone.
All right, so let's bring this all back to us, right here, right now. What does this ancient story actually mean for you today? If you take away one big idea from all of this, let it be this one. The entire story hangs on this one powerful concept: substitution. It means this wasn't just some random historical event. It was deeply personal. He was dying in your place.
And that's the bottom line, isn't it? That cross should have been ours. Remember Barabbas, the guilty one? He walked away totally free. The message of the cross is that we get to walk free too, because Jesus took the punishment that we deserved. That's the great exchange.
His body was then put in a tomb, and it was sealed with a giant stone and even guarded by soldiers. And you know, this wasn't just for show. It was the final, undeniable proof that the exchange was complete. The debt was paid. His death was real, which is exactly what makes the rest of the story so absolutely incredible. And that really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? This story isn't just about something that happened 2,000 years ago. It's an invitation. Barabbas walked out of that courtyard a free man because Jesus took his place. The message of the cross is that you can too. So the question isn't just what you believe about this story, it's how will you live because of it.